Welcome to Academy of Tone 306. Well, it's Angus Young's birthday, 71. He turned 71 yesterday, actually, on the 31st of March. Aries, boop, boop, star sign. And by the way, another gentleman that I played with a lot, also same birthday, Thijs van Leer. From Focus. Different chords though. Yeah, what a band, ACDC, what a guitar player, Angus Young. Today we will have a super special interview with the one and only Fil Olivieri, who is the man behind SoloDallas, a true expert when it comes to Angus Young, ACDC. I recorded a long interview with him yesterday, going into details, and actually I was already using some of the gear here. You can see the tower, you can see the micro pedal, which is the Schaefer Diversity micro pedal, and the Storm, which is kind of in between. So we will talk gear, but before we talk gear, I think, where is it? I have some very nice invention. Yeah, here it is. The Chinese, okay? The Chinese came up with new cables. And, you know, multi-purpose cable. And you can actually use this on something like this here. And as you can see, it fits. Never plug this in to a power outlet. So this is totally destroying everything on the other end. But somehow that thing was designed to plug into an XLR cable. Fuck, April Fool. And there's another clip we want to show you about April the 1st. Hey Andreas, can you program a really good effect program like Pink Floyd?
Oh, that's no problem. Press the left button and hold it for 3 seconds. Then take the middle buttons, press 3 times. So I go in the display and press 10 times this one, and then I go to the right button, press it for 3 seconds again.
This may take longer. Can I have some coffee? Ich spreche Deutsch.
Press this one and then turn the wax.
Well, April, der macht, was er will. Talking about Angus and his style. Andreas is an expert when it comes to teaching because he has many students. And what is the story about ACDC and students these days?
Oh, everybody wants to play Highway to Hell, for example.
Yeah.
And nobody can play Highway to Hell.
Correctly?
Correctly.
Is it actually, do you know if it's all downstrokes or if it's up and down? I have no idea what I do.
I play it, I believe, with downstrokes. But most of people trying power chords. Rubbish sound.
Also, ja. Hä?
Sounds better. The open chords.
Yeah, you have to play the full open chords. And
but the G without the 3, without the terz. Wie sagt man?
Yeah, without the third. Yeah.
Third,
Yeah, that's power chords. Yeah, and that's the part of the sound of ACDC, using power chords, because that's the most energy you get out of this. And when we are talking about solo playing, it's pentatonic.
Pentatonic. Angus plays major pentatonic, minor pentatonic.
And mixed this up.
Mixed this up.
Yeah.
You can see it in the solo of Highway to Hell.
Yeah.
Back to Highway to Hell.
Okay.
Yeah. There's minor pentatonic. And the major pentatonic is the same fingers.
Yeah.
Just in the second fret.
Yeah.
And what Angus plays is in the first part of the solo, he begins at the minor pentatonic.
Yeah.
To the major pentatonic. He ends up in the minor pentatonic.
Again, yeah.
Yeah. That's his playing.
Yeah, and what I like about his playing is he's rhythmically sometimes pretty clever. Things like when we go back to that song here. I don't know exactly what he's playing, but I have always the feeling that the phrasing, like sharp phrasing and aggressive attack. That's what makes his. At least that's what I do to mimic him. I know they're experts on this. I'm just doing the fake Angus as good as I can. Yeah. When we talk about ACDC, we have also to talk about Malcolm. And the Young brothers in general. There are so many Youngs connected to ACDC. What was the name of the older brother who was the producer?
Take a look at our
We have some cheat sheets here.
some Spickzettel.
Yeah, wait a minute. It's fuck, I knew it. The early days.
Alex Young? Or
No. I think it was George. George Young. He was a producer, and the whole thing about ACDC, it's a band, it's a tribe. Yeah. Thanks
Dave
for
Matt
letting
guitar.
us know. Yeah, everybody, hey, yeah, you know it best. Yeah, and the thing about ACDC as a band, for me, it's that tribal energy. I mean, you could hear it at the beginning, la 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 la, thunder, unbelievable. Yeah, and Svenny Gallus says Harry Wonder on the Easy Beats was also involved in the production. For me, the best period of ACDC was late 70s, early 80s with Phil Rudd on the drums, Bon Scott. Yeah, that's the thing. Well, okay, very Angus-like vibrato. You have to be intense. That's the whole point. It is about torturing the guitar. It's like, yeah. On this guitar, actually, I have to change the frets. This is like super low frets. I hardly have nothing under my fingers to bend it. The guitar sounds killer, but I wish I had frets. Then my bending would be even better. And the other thing, talking about the sound, is something I have done with Phil from SoloDallas. I would define ACDC sound as the sound of rock, as the sound of cranked amps that start clean and that are boosted. And these are some secret weapons that help to boost on the edge of breakup Marshall, a loud Marshall, so that everything is clipping, that the input stage is not really clipping, but it is already high, and then every stage, phase splitter stage, power amp stage, 3 stages at least are clipping in such a setup, and that is, yeah, the sound of rock. And to me, AC/DC has captured that sound like no other. That's my... You can put on an AC/DC record if you would explain rock to an alien. Listen to this.
AC/DC creates the sound, so you say today AC/DC sound.
Yeah,
No?
yeah, they are.
Do you play like AC/DC? Oh, that's an AC/DC sound.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe we have a long interview with Phil in 2 parts, and let's watch the first part, and then we come back and discuss nerdy details. Cheers.
Phil, it's so great to have you on this show finally. I mean, we met years ago at NAMM shows, and we kind of bump into each other every show. And
yes,
I know that you are such an AC/DC expert because you have tons of things, websites, and also your beautiful products that help people to achieve the authentic AC/DC or Angus Young tone. And I know there's not so many people like you that are so passionate about that particular thing. And that's something I think we both share, is a passion for the guitar tones.
yes.
So, and what brings us together is Angus Young's 71st birthday, correct?
Yeah, yes.
So
I didn't want to interrupt
what
you.
is? No, thanks. So what, when we think of Angus first, and then us, because how happy birthday important. This guy, with his energy, with his attitude, with everything he did so much for music, for rock and roll, and for the humankind, bringing pleasure, power, blood, sweat, and tears, and you name it, emotion, like no other. Therefore, he has my number 1 award. Number 1 to Angus. So
Appropriate.
what is your story with Angus? What is your, I mean, there's a lot, but maybe you can give a brief story how you came to the music and finally to your company and all the stuff you do.
I will, and thanks very much. That was absolutely a stunning introduction. I am not worthy, if not for the fact that today it truly is Angus Young's 71st birthday. Happy birthday, Angus Young! But thank you, thanks Thomas, and thanks to all the people that are listening to us right now. Thanks for checking into this little video of yours and therefore mine, tribute for Angus Young, and so many other things, talking about exactly what you underlined briefly. So guitar tone and rock and roll, and a certain way of listening to rock and roll and guitar sounds that are probably related to a certain past that people like you and maybe me as well have been keeping on propping up and bringing forth in the present, in the past, and definitely in the future. I'm pretty certain about that. Now, I can see the connection going up and down. I hope that the quality of my own image stays decent so that our friends don't have to have the glasses off view, which probably, somewhat might embellish this look of mine. So I love you all, guys. A little premise. I've been a fan of Thomas for many years. Thomas Blug is one of those. He says that he doesn't take compliments very well. Who cares? Okay, I am in his show, and I have this opportunity to let him know a little bit. So I've been a fan of Thomas for many years, to the point that even before he knew, but I had purchased this. So I had and I have this, and I use it, and actually, he doesn't know.
Wow.
He's going to...
Are we still recording? Ah, Scheiße. But anyway.
That's one of the words that I
um,
know very well in German. Scheiße.
Where did you learn German then?
I have many friends in Germany, many of whom love you very much. And our own video editor is crazy about you. You have met him because I sent him to you. And Leon, which we salute. I don't know if the thing is being recorded or not, but I'll let him know. And many others. You have friends in Canada as well, Robin, who I am obliged to because he was one of the guys that kept on talking about you years ago. And so that's why I bought the amp one, which is right here with us.
Yeah.
Friends, again, if our friends haven't seen the recording, right here.
Well, the first thing is, what is special about the Angus Young tone? You are the expert. What does it? I mean, we all know he plays an SG. By the way, I've recently gotten. Somebody told me it's a 62. It's a very beaten up and therefore not too expensive vintage SG. It used to belong to a killer guitar player and a friend of mine. And so it's changing hands. And finally, I own one of these.
I hate you. I hate you. No, it's not true. I love you. But that is a thing of beauty, okay? I don't know, again, if you're recording this, but it's just, oh my God, listen to that thing. Just the wood of the thing is amazing, man.
Yeah.
I heard it from here through 4 kilohertz, the speakers.
Yeah, it's like... It has the tone in the wood already, so that's what convinced me about that guitar, and that's always the foundation of anything. But I know you are the expert. I think you have your own pickups. You created your own amps. You have a speaker. Give us a little insight in what you consider the tone and why you started to do products even. You are crazy.
Yes, I am crazy. I confirm this. And I love being crazy, and I love being friends with crazy people that had the same intention and passion. Yes, you were one, definitely. It's a long story, and it's a long path as for all of us, because we are not kids anymore. So it's something that has been going and ongoing for, at this point, decades. And that is related to us being kids, being impressed by something. That something impressed us so deeply that it probably wrote our read-only memory that one time. And we're still reading back from that initial flash of impression that has children we got. So that is where my Angus Young passion, ACDC love started. It started in the 1970s. And the 1970s was such an amazing decade that truly impressed so many of us of our age. And it keeps on impressing younger generations, which is an important aspect of your foundation, somewhat even mine. Just keep on propelling that message, those sounds, that way of conceiving music, which is simple but not easy at all, because it requires playing the instrument, which is essential. And it would go right back to your underlying of the wood. The wood needs to ring and resonate. Possibly that's going to add immensely to the tone. And so since we're speaking about Angus Young tone, Angus has been using preferably older Gibson SGs. You just showed the audience yours, and I'm jealous, and I wish I was there with you right now between the border of Germany and France so we could spend some time jamming. I have one of mine here.
Wow.
This is a 66 original that, like you, I bought cracked, broken, unpainted, and everything. Because I go for the ring of it. So that's one thing that I learned in my long long pathway to guitar tone. I tend to prefer older instruments, older instruments. I don't at all shy away from newer ones. I have a few here, as long as they are quality instruments that can be set up in a certain way. And usually Gibson instruments allow for this, whether they're old or some of the newer ones as well. So it really would start, and we'd have to say that it starts from the wood. However, many of our friends and followers, they don't have access to older instruments, so they're going to have to be able to do with newer instruments. Sometimes that's a disappointment, and sometimes that really doesn't work too well with the newer instruments. So, for example, in the 1990s, I was mostly disappointed with the newer instruments because they were not really satisfying me in the way that I hear them. Not so much for the ring, but for example, the electronics, the pickups, the harness, which one learns to appreciate over time, how important a harness can be as well. Pickups as well. So the reason why we make our own now, it's because for several years we had been starting in the 1990s, or even back in the 1980s, and we could even go back further to the 1970s. So many things changed at Gibson, Fender. This is a classic story that we all know happened. So many production changes have happened in those companies, and they changed radically their products to a point where they were not the classics of the 60s and the 50s anymore. So that's when I feel some of the things started going down. And I shouldn't speak about the quality. Maybe the quality was comparable somehow, the metals, and I don't think it is, but we could consider it as such. But they changed. The recipes changed. And at SoloDallas, we feel like we have to go back to certain old recipes that we have learned, we have studied. We continue to do that process continuously, and which is something that you have in common. And to bring those old recipes back, maybe in some newer technology formats, but still those old recipes, and just send those to the crowds, which is exactly at least part of your message, where you have your own amplifiers actually that have been modeled, and then brought into your products. And some of those are, at least some of those are older. And we know that. So to continue with my Angus Young experience, I was young. Right. I was born in 68, so I was just a few years old. And I have been flashed in 78. A friend of mine brought me to a place in Rome, a record store, and I've seen this particular album cover. I hope our friends can see this, despite the shaky connection, for which I apologize once again. I'm in Florida today. There seem to be some connection and power issues. Sorry about that, brothers from around the world. So I've seen that. Thank you, brother. And I've seen that in the display window, and I fell in love instantly. Although I did see that a guitar had been cut in half because I was just a child and I couldn't afford them at the time. I thought, Scheiße, that's not a good thing. You know, I suffered for that because I wanted, and I couldn't afford a Gibson SG like that at the time. In 78 again, was just a humble family from Italy living in Rome. Dream. Middle class, so it was just a dream. And so this friend of mine, Jacopo, ich liebe dich, Jacopo, thank you. He's now working in Belgium. And he said, Phil, you have to listen. he would say that in Italian, Phil, you have to listen to this new album. It's absolutely fantastic. And that was, If You Want Blood, You've Got It. It was a live, of course, rendition of AC/DC.
Yeah.
I started listening. I fell in love instantly. And that was it for me with AC/DC. That was my flashing moment that flashed into my read-only memory, still a very soft memory and personality at that age, just barely 10 years old. And that never left me for all these years. Now, little did I know that that album would already sport one of the products that then I was able to revive throughout my life. And so that was, dear Tom, friend of mine, this particular device here.
The wireless.
Yes, this was Angus Young's. Yes, it's a famed Schaffer-Vega diversity system that had been invented in around 1976 to solve a number of problems that the current wireless systems of that age were showing. Particularly, this device introduced a double antenna, which it's called diversity for that reason, so that would compensate for the drops of the signal that were so often occurring in those years. So this helped with that. But along with itself, it brought such a unique audio circuitry between the transmitter and the receiver. There's a number of precious audio components in here that were made to enhance the sound of whatever went through it. And I didn't know in 1978, of course, that I was listening to that sound. But I discovered that many years after by research. And so what I did, listening to that sound that you can hear clearly on several albums live and in the studio of that era, specifically that was used in the studio by AC/DC. We love you, Angus Young. In 1978, 79, 80, 81, up to 1988. So that's the extent by which the circuitry was used by Angus as well in the studio, not only live. And so it definitely
wasn't there the story that Angus was in the studio trying to find his tone? Like, hey, what is the difference between the tone here in the studio and live? And he was missing. There was something missing. And was it the producer or somebody said, hey, live you play a wireless? Let's try the wireless. Do you know that story?
Not only I know the story, but I can confirm it's 100% true because I spoke several times with not only Angus, but members of his family.
Yeah.
What happened is that was Power Age. The album was Power Age. 1978 studio album. And they had released 1 year earlier, 1977, Let There Be Rock, on which the Schaefer was not used. They had different equipment that was used for that studio, specifically Neve console and tape massively, which is something that I'd love to discuss with you, with our friends, maybe with a better connection somehow in the future. But it's something extremely important when it comes down to the sound of rock of that decade. So consoles and tape and stuff. That's not only the amps and the guitars and the Schaefers or the pedals or whatever was there.
I know because I recorded my first 2 records on 2-inch tape, analog tape, and I know how drums sound like on analog tape, and I know how guitars sound on analog tape. And it is a different animal. It is it has so many aspects, from just being limited of having only a certain amount of tracks and a certain amount of time. I mean, if you have it high speed, I think it was 24 minutes or so, one reel. And the other thing is definitely tone. In my world, the tape sound is still the most organic tone. If you have the magic of a tube amp, and I try to capture that magic with my amp ones as well. And anything I do, all I do, I'm just using more modern components to do it. But I love the old recipe. It's all the magic of the zagging and the overtones and the clipping in this stage and the interaction of the speaker with the power amp and all that stuff I know, and that's what I'm getting with my more modern schematics and components. But it's the old recipe, it's the magic, and that's with tape, period. It's heaven.
Guys, are you listening to Thomas? I know that usually guys listen to you. This is your show, so I know that the guys are listening, but please listen again, because this is essential. What he just said and mentioned, and it goes by his personal experience of playing for decades. Mm-hmm. I ended up buying a Studer for my studio in the 2000s, because just as a process of discovery of how much it contributed. Then of course I had to sell it back, but it's just an incredible thing. Tape is absolutely essential, as are when you try to emulate the process of recording of those years, going through consoles and other line amps and what they do to the signal. So I know, and I have known, that you went for this for years. In fact, I can't wait to hear and try myself the amp packs, by the way. But going back to the story, so in 78, it was George Young, as you know, was still producer. George Young and Harry Vanda, who just turned 80, by the way, days ago. So we salute Harry as well. Great guy, Dutch guy that moved with a family to Australia, just like many other immigrants. Just like ACDC, in fact, they immigrated from Scotland. So they had many things in common. And George told guys, it's not with an Australian accent that sometimes I try to emulate, but I suck. So it's so difficult. I have so many Australian friends. I love you guys.
Right, mate?
Yes, mate.
I love it. Yeah, I love the Australian accent. I watch the flags down the beach. I can't really do it, but I love it. I love it. Okay, salute to Australia.
Especially today, guys, to whoever are out there listening to Tom, and I'll be spreading this message. However, the quality of the connection is damn, but we'll do it. And so George said, Angus, it's not happening. Your sound is not happening for whatever reason. I believe that he was talking specifically about the solo tone that usually was overdubbed. So they would, and they still do, by the way. So for all our friends listening, usually for ACDC, the process of recording a studio album goes as follows. They would all meet in the recording room, and they would be sitting down, by the way. Angus rarely would stand up and do the solo by standing. Well, that he would do in the recording in the control room. So that would be a separate process. But even playing with the band and laying down the backing track of the actual song per song, he'd be sitting down with the headphones, and they'd in a circle, and they would be looking at each other. So the visual element, and this is something I really want to talk about. Tom wants to talk about it because it's essential for our young players. We need to listen to each other, brothers. Okay, we need to look at each other. We need to listen to each other. It's fundamental, listening, and if we have the opportunity of looking at each other as well. Now, one of the secrets of the Young brothers initially was just that they would strike a chord together, and they would look at each other while they were doing it. In addition to that, they were looking at Phil or whoever drummer was in there, because even with just a glimpse of the eye, catching the movement of the body, this is essential, you guys out there, especially if you're into rock and roll. We have to stick to the drums. Please, guys, please, please, please. I love you so much. Rock and roll needs your attention because it's never going to die. And to play it properly, even for other musical genres, not necessarily, if they're guitar related, if they're instrument related, timing is everything. And playing together as a group is an incredible experience that when it happens, we really have to listen to each other and possibly watch each other. They would definitely do that.
And communicate in a way. I believe like ACDC with Malcolm, Phil on drums, and them, this kind of late 70s, early 80s lineup was one of the tightest rock bands on, unbelievable. The sheer energy these guys could produce, and you can tell it's all in. If you analyze it, it's not about over analyzing it, but there's micro timing. There is everything is, what you said. There's a communication, and you can feel that. It's a tribe. It's not individual musicians. It's a tribe on attack, and this is what you can feel. And there's nothing ever having been recorded with such a bonding energy. Bonding is probably the right word. I was looking for a word that, together as a band.
You found it.
They were, this is unbelievable. That era is, we have other bands that are out together, The Who with Keith Moon, blah, 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 all great. But AC/DC at that time, to me, the pinnacle of rock and roll, period. There's Eddie Van Halen, great player, and they had also great records. But you cannot argue about AC/DC, period. I'm a fan,
Yeah, AC/DC. This was part one of our interview. We had so much fun. There's some more tech stuff coming. Actually, before we forget, on the Academy of Tone, I have the one shirt today, not my Academy of Tone shirt. We have done several episodes on the topic of AC/DC. By the way, we started with one of the very early episodes, and it's always worth watching some of the early stuff as well. Me with a different haircut, my summer haircut, episode 11, where I was, where's my black flag? Here, the Thomas M. Yeah, the black flag Plexi versus the, was it Mercury? The totally puristic AB comparison. We have a little clip, watch this, and then we have more ABs. Yeah, I see a few comments here in the chat. One is, what strings gauge does he play? From what I heard, there were 9th to 42. On mine, I have 10th, as on most of my Gibson guitars, but I have to change the frets first, and then I decide, and maybe I go back to the Angus Young. Somebody told me that he recently switches to 8. I cannot confirm this, but somebody told me that 8s also have a magic, which I do agree. Because the other day I was using Alex Byrod's guitar, and guess what? He has 8s.
Oh.
And the thing about thin strings is they actually have less woolly bass, and they have more high end, more attack. That's something. But
Isn't Billy Gibbons also playing
eighth, yeah, Billy Gibbons, ZZ Top.
Top,
so
yeah.
I mean, you know, the guys who argue you have to play thick strings. It's okay if you want to do your Stevie Ray Vaughan and you have a drop, whatever, E flat tuning. That makes all sense. But
you need a soft touch if you play 8 strings. Yeah?
exactly. Otherwise, everything is totally out of tune. Exactly. So that's one thing. BB King too. So I see a comment here. Angus Black Flag was a 50 watts. Yeah, I only have this Black Flag 100 watt. My nearest amp to that is the GMP Real Plexi from '68, but it's a little later than the Black Flag. But this was not the only episode on ACDC Tone. I had a great episode, which is the Academy of Tone 57 with Max Carton from Belgium, who is a real expert when it comes to ACDC because he played in ACDC tribute band. So that episode 57 is about the ultimate ACDC tone. Then I have done an episode which was 208 as a tribute to the 48th anniversary of High Voltage together with Rich Morgan. And we went into another interesting nerdy detail, the Kikusui Power Voltage Regulator. Something that is used by a lot of touring guitar players, including Angus Young. And the reason for that is when you tour, the voltage on those stages is never exactly the same. And if you are a purist and play those traditional plexi, Black Flag, whatnot, any kind of old school tube amp, your sound is absolutely depending on the voltage. If the voltage is higher, you have more headroom, you have less overdrive. And imagine Angus would be surprised in Australia with 260 volts with too much headroom and no overdrive. And that's a thing why a power voltage regulator like the Kikusui is a good thing, because anything that comes in from mains will come out to a very to a defined voltage. You dial in whatever 236 volts, and no matter where you plug it in on this planet, this kind of voltage comes out. And by the way, this is already happening in an Amp 1, because we have a modern power supply. Doesn't matter where you plug it in, it's always the same voltage, and that's why all these Amp 1s sound so consistent. Yeah, that's a nerdy fact when it comes to the tube amps. And maybe we should talk a little bit about how to get that ACDC sound. Most people always think of overdrive because it's rock, but it starts from the clean side. And let me show you what I have done, like today in the intro song, and also on this episode 11. I was using the clean channel. You know, I'm not even going to overdrive. I'm using the clean channel on full, and my tones everything is in the middle, 5, 5, 5. So there is no magic at all, and that's basically the sound. But I'm using the secret weapon. Let's switch that off. So now it's. That is simply an Amp 1 cranked on the clean channel. But I mean, you can give it a little boost. That is the internal boost. To be authentic, Angus, we go for a SoloDallas boost. I show you the difference. And we will hear the story because it comes from the experience in the studio where he was missing. So back to clean channel, everything cranked, and the master is not even giving you power amp saturation that much. It's just on the edge of where the power amp does a little bit of sagging, like here on 4. That's nice, but it's not adding too much gain. So it's clean. Okay, that's a little bit too dry. It's a little bit too hard to play. So let's switch on that magic box, the SoloDallas Tower. It's super touch dynamic, and it's I can go from like clean. I'm on 10 on this humbucker guitar, you know. And that's, you know, Phil has done a great job in getting this thing out.
What can this thing do?
Well, it has a couple of different functions. It is coming from the wireless system, and in the wireless system there is a little compressor that kind of is designed to enrich the signal so we don't have signal loss. But as it's all analog, it is adding some analog magic. And here we can see there is a output volume, there is the on-off switch, which I was using, and then there is the compressor thing. And the other thing that is interesting is they have used on the original Schaefer unit the headphones out, because the headphones out gave you more output. And let's say it's a magic boost and it's beautiful. So let's go back to the ACDC recipe, get a clean amp driven into overdrive and add a touch of boost, like one of those. Let's go back, bypass. Yeah, more overtones. Oops, my beer. And this is amp 1 boost. So a boost is a good thing, but this is the totally authentic ACDC boost, and I love it. Okay. Okay, I can give you an example of the other SoloDallas pedals. This is the micro pedal. Okay, let's switch this off and switch this on. It's a nice source. And then we have the Storm, which is the one that came out before the micro pedal. And the Storm has the same controls like the big tower, which means there is a limiter in there. Way too much. I mean, I'm on max, but just demonstrating. The level and the boost of the signal. Okay, so you learned the recipe. There are many ways to get to a great AC/DC tone. I give you another option when we go. So this is all on bypass. Let's get rid of all the pedals and plug in directly. Amp 1, just to be puristic. Okay, now a little bit of one control. With the boost and the clean all the way up, it's one way. The other way would be, let's go for overdrive, switch off the boost, and then we have way too much overdrive in the vintage channel. So let's go back and dial in gain less on the gain control. Still too much. And then reduce it on the one control. So, you know, roughly this is kind of in the middle, and this I just dialed back a little bit. See, there's another option. I can also do the same thing, on the classic channel. Me, I'm a vintage guy, and I know that's the world I'm living in. And the reason why I love that so much, the vintage channel, is actually the zagging that we have, even coming from the vintage preamp, that always reacts and feels like one of those cranked amp feel. Yeah, what is let's see, compressor, booster, and limiter in one? Yes, AC/DC. Okay, somebody is having the right name in the chat here. Compressor, booster, and limiter. Well, a limiter is kind of a hard thing. Compressor brings up low level, increases the lower level a little bit, the floor of the lower sounds. And so the whole thing is put into a sweet spot.
It's the match between limiter and compression.
Yeah. And by the way, Phil is talking about these right now in the next part of the interview. It's opto style, very musical, simple design, which makes totally sense. I like it. Okay, and Thomas can use 50 watt too. Yes. Here on the Amp 1 there is also the 50 watt power, but I can also dial it in with the one control to simulate, so you can hear that I get more power amp saturation. versus that's way too extreme. Now I'm losing volume, but you know, put it like on 50. Yeah, that's the power soak and driving the power amp here into saturation as well. It is a cascaded gain a little bit, but it needs to be coming from the clean side. If you have no clean range, it's no good. Yeah. Would a quad cortex help consolidate a lot of your setup? Not in my world. Sorry.
Not in our world.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong about quad cortex, cheers. But, you know, think about ACDC. It is a reduced, puristic approach. How many channels is Angus Young playing?
Genau. How many quad cortex?
Yeah, he's how many reverbs does he use? None. How many effects loop does he has? None. So, you know, all he's using.
Think about the video with Walter Trout. How many effects plays Walter Trout?
So if such a rock star looks at his pedal board, there's nothing in front of him. Nothing. And that's part of the secret. And when you have a quad cortex, you have tons of options, which is great, but not for ACDC. You know, you can have one sound that mimics it, but it's not as well dynamic and alive and crazy as an analog tube amp or what we are doing here. That's why we do it differently. Okay, what other questions we have? This 62, I saw back in 2000 at House Messe in Hamburg. Yeah, Kloppy did an analog picture of me with this guitar. Yeah, awesome ex Carsten, yeah. And before Kloppy had that guitar, it belonged to Ali Neander. Rodger Monotones, another friend who was also here at the Academy of Tone. I think we played some Eric Clapton. But this is a great guitar. Yeah, I love it. Can you show the mini Schaefer pedal and one control on the amp for me? Well, I did show the one control. This all the last 5 minutes or whatever was the one control. And what I could do is I could get rid of the one control and use the mini Schaefer for a change, if that's what makes you happy. But I could show you the mini Schaefer as it is too. So this is like, this is the vintage channel with all the tweaks I have done to the one control. For those who want to know, for those about to rock, okay, where is it? Oh, actually, the gain is only at 10 o'clock. The power soak is 3 o'clock, and the master volume is all the way up. And the setting here is vintage channel, let's say on 7.5. Well, I never changed the EQ, but the master is all the way up to 8. So that's giving me, yeah. So, okay, let's go back and disconnect this boy, get back to the clean channel, and wait a minute, I go in here.
The mini Schaefer pedal.
Yeah. So I have them all in line.
Okay.
So that's a little bit.
think M1 boost is on.
Ah, well, I like M1 boost with that pedal, but okay, I show you first without. So, okay, let's be totally authentic and just have that one pedal in line. No cable capacitance, no thing. So just guitar and then straight out into. Sorry, this will make noise. And out of the micro pedal. So switch it on. Puristic, as we.
Guitar.
Huh?
Guitar input micro.
Yeah, I was always noise avoiding noise. Sounds killer. As I said before, there is many ways how to get there. So this will work with anything like a on the edge of breakup solid clean amp, like one of those, or like this. And the other way is use the amp one and reduce the gain in the vintage channel, as I showed you. So there's several ways. Yeah, I see. Covered with Bärenfell. Yeah, this guitar. Yes, yeah, it was covered with Bärenfell. Okay, bearskin. Very nice Black Les Paul. Okay,
Oh, thank
Andreas,
you.
do you want to talk a little bit about that guitar just for a second?
That's my project guitar.
Project. We all have projects. Yes.
And I changed the pickups last week, and he's right. That's actually our Häusel pickups. Yeah. Was kann ich noch dazu sagen?
Nothing.
Nothing.
It's a beautiful black Les Paul.
Yeah. I can
Okay.
split the pickups. Ja, kann man mal hören. Ja.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Andreas is kind of a minimalistic guy, which I like in a way. Last comment I can see here is M25 Greenback's 16 ohm, on an 8 ohm, which is impedance mismatching. You can do all that kind of stuff. This is something that works. You can experiment. In the next part of our interview, Phil is talking a little bit more about the speakers, and I don't want to talk too much about it, but it's fairly simple. And I believe we all are super nerds when it comes to this, and I believe Angus is serious about it, but on the other hand, I think he's also straightforward. What's the question here? What model is SG is that? Well, what model? This is an original old 62 Gibson SG Gibson.
SG Model.
Just SG.
Special guitar.
Yeah, special guitar. They called it that guitar. Of course, it's a fucked up guitar. That's why I could buy it for very good money, very low money. Yeah. I see the comments here. 16 ohm speaker on a tube amp set to 8 ohm kills the amp. I've done things like that and my amp survived it. But don't do that at home. I have done all kinds of impedance mismatching. What it does is, again, I feedback or current feedback, there is a current that goes from the power amp to the speaker and back. And if you have a higher impedance, it's dampening differently. So use proper outputs, because anything else I cannot say officially. Anything else, call your insurance. Or I wish you good luck. Okay. I have done all that stuff to see what's going on. Yeah, I know. It's all safer and it matches better, but yeah, we can go into these nippy details. A 16 ohm speaker always sounds a little bit different from an 8 ohm speaker. Why? Because the coil has more windings to get to the 16 ohms, and that has side effects. So usually these 16 ohm speakers sound a little bit smoother. And if you have two and you wire them in parallel, you get a different sound. And if you wire to 8 ohms in serial, you get also a different sound from the speaker, but mainly also in the interaction with the power amp stage. But this is another nerdy episode on current feedback, something for the technical nerds. I would love to show you the second part of the interview with Phil, where we talk about what he has actually done with all of these and the stories, how he came to this, and also talking about speakers, what kind of speakers Angus is using and stuff like that. Last question here is, do you guys have the SoloDallas Schaefer Replica Storm Pedal? Yeah, sure. I showed that at the beginning of the episode. And okay, last but not least, I do you the AB with the big unit. I've done this, but I do it again because you told me so. Wait a minute, this is output, this is input, so I go here and I put this in front of this little fellow. So this is boosting a lot now. I should. Pretty similar. So, and now the big tower. Let's try, okay, wait a minute. Let's try the big tower. Okay, I will go out here. Sorry, and this goes into, so, and this is. For me, they sound all great. This has a touch less gain, but that's probably due to the way I set it. Let's give it more input, or then it's more compressed, give it more output. So. There is something about the tower.
It's a little bit too big for pedalboard.
Yes, that's the physical down thing about the tower, but there is something that I like about the breathing of the sound with the tower,
yeah,
which is
great.
which is actually great. if you are esoteric, there's a little bit of no on this one, which I can't find on the other ones. But hey, if you have no AB, fuck it. Could I bring the big tower into the Amp X? Well, why not? I put it and squeeze it and make it so small that it ends up on a USB-C stick, and then we plug it into the Amp X and you press boost and then it comes alive. Woo! There's your tower. Woo! Like a genie in a bottle. The good thing is I have access to the tower because it belongs to a friend of mine. And I own the other two pedals, which I'm very happy. So guys, let's watch the second half of the long interview with Fil Olivieri. Thank you and enjoy our conversation, which is nerdy and pretty cool. Cheers.
I've been knowing you for a few years. I didn't even know that back in the day you had purchased my stuff. I think you had one of the original Schaefer replica passes.
I have,
now you have that one.
Yeah.
When we met at NAMM together, and I can't wait to see you again.
I have the other one still.
I know that.
I have the other one, but it's in the office. In the office. This is even smaller, and I love it because. Can you tell us the difference? What is the difference? Okay, maybe guys, we have to go into what is this pedal? What is the tower? What is the standard, the regular size one? This size? Can you tell people what's going on, because that's your baby?
Of course I can, and thanks very much for giving me this chance, Tom. People have been following, probably if they didn't fall asleep or they didn't lose connection as well, but they've been seeing that that particular wireless system was an integral part of Angus' guitar since 1977. Particularly, he got it in August 1977 in New York, directly by the inventor, Ken Schaefer, that we salute today as well. And so he started using it and used it for at least 8 years nonstop, which I think, Tom, is another, if you will, it's another testament of the fact that technology, when it works and when it truly does something that we appreciate, can last us for a long time. Which ultimately, for us making technology and hardware, not just software. It's something that we look forward for it to be established and to establish itself as a product that will have a long lifespan, shelf, long lifespan. So quality stuff. Now, this device, quite frankly, was, and it still works today, by the way, guys. This is from 1978 something, was given to me by the inventor himself. I bought a few units as well over the years. That was the wireless system that Angus started using, and it does change the sound. The inventor did not want it to change the sound. The inventor wanted it to stay transparent, but it was made out of analog components in the 70s. There is no way it's not going to have its own sound and color. And it did. Yeah. Now, what was discovered quickly by many bands, including Van Halen, that Tom mentioned earlier, is that this particular, the original receiver of the wireless, had an output here that was meant to be for the headphones. And then there was the actual output.
XLR on the back, right?
Yes, sir, which is right here. Okay, so this was supposed to be your output that went to the amplifier or all the other devices that would be included the public address PA systems, because the system worked with a microphone as well. I would call it in French lavalier, but the Americans say, I think, lavalier or something like that. Is a microphone that we've seen over the decades used in this kind of adjustment, wireless transmitter and receiver. This thing was connected directly to the guitar, Instead, it didn't have a microphone, of course. This is a transmitter.
Yeah.
And people were supposed to be coming out of the rear, one-to-one signal. Instead, kids like Angus started messing around, and they discovered that they had a very powerful amplifier here. So you would turn the unit on, but then for headphones output, if you continued with the volume for the headphones out here, you would have a very powerful amplifier that worked as a boost with the internal circuitry that was meant to augment, to increase, to enhance the quality of whatever instrument it went through it. And there's quite some analog components in here just dedicated to the audio circuitry that I decided to replicate over the years, because he started using that output instead of the XLR, and he would saturate and overdrive the front end of their or his tube amps. And that was, in his words, just between the transmitter that also has another knob, friends, that I'm not so sure you can see right here, but between the knob on the transmitter, Danke, between the knob on the transmitter and that thing on the receiver and the internal audio components, filtering, limiting, compression, and other op amps that reside on both the boards of the transmitter and the receiver. He said, personally, with both the transmitter and the receiver, you can give a guitar hell. And I don't think I should add more than this, other than the fact that I wanted this. Tom, I wanted this. Tommy, I needed to have it. When I discovered it,
of course,
and it took me many years, because I was in Rome in my basement, my parents' basement, actually. I had some amplifiers. It wasn't a pretty room like yours or like mine now. Here it was just a basement. And I discovered this because I started buying from America the amps, sometimes even effects and old guitars. I bought so much stuff. Whew. I guess
but the missing link. Yeah, but the missing link was what is in the circuitry of the wireless. And I know that sometimes these little, let's call it tonal adapters that transfer a signal from A to B are magic. I mean, there's other sounds that have similar importance. Brian May of Queen wouldn't exist without a Rangemaster treble booster. The same goes for Ritchie Blackmore. We all look at the Marshall stacks and we believe those pure Marshall stacks is everything that makes the tone. No, it is like you need a little extra spice. It's just like you have a steak and there's something missing, a little salt and a little pepper. You don't have to overdo it. But when you add the right amount of something like a special boost, then it comes alive and it's getting magic. And this is the missing piece. And you put this into these beautiful pedals. And what it does, it's amazing because it makes the sound bigger, bloomier, but without squashing it into something undefined. It is still capturing the attack. It is dynamic. It is transferring your musical or your physical attack into a more musical dynamic. That is what this baby is doing. And I love it. It's great pedal.
Tom, you're officially hired as the one top influencer for SoloDallas. Thank you, brother. Ich liebe dich.
No, I'm simply, when I'm excited about something, I can show it. I mean, I'm German, but I have an emotion too, like Italians, which is, when I'm excited, I cannot hide it. And it's like things that are great, they are great. And I don't care if it's who makes it. If somebody puts, the dedication, the passion into something, it's just going like to a good restaurant. And I mean, it's like in Italy, people really appreciate good food. I know that. And this is why I love that kind of attitude, and I'm fan of such an attitude. And people, you know, like you, I know that you spend days, hours, months, and years for fucking details, and you probably bought 50 bullshit things unless you found the one and you learned. It's like, okay, is it a T-top, or you know, what kind of pickup is the right combination? What is it? You start with 0 or a little bit that is obvious, and then you learn, okay, it's great, but something is missing. And then that's the Italian moment. Once you have everything perfect, you know it. I think the Italians are good at that. It's like when you have a perfect dinner, it's, you know, it's like you feel, you get emotional about it. It's like, bingo, you know, and you can really appreciate that. And we are all striving for that moment, and it's a satisfaction, you know. And I know it's a long road, and it takes, and sometimes the road doesn't end. I mean, playing the guitar is something that road will never end. You know, we can get 71 years old, and we still cannot play everything. And but that's okay. That's part of that thing. But if you have a tone in your head, and I know that, you can go dong 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 back. Okay, is the bass tight enough? Is the treble? It's a little bit too harsh. It's a little bit too bitey. Okay, we're missing this, and that's, I can spend hours with stuff like that, and then changing this and go for, like you, and then once you found the right balance of, you know, once you arrive there, you're happy.
What a huge satisfaction. And if you recorded that, you can keep on listening to that and yourself proudly for years. In that case, when that happens. Guys, I hope you're listening to Tom. This is definitely, we know Tom, so we know that he's like this, but there are some inspiring moments. I was just listening in silence, which is not easy for me. As an Italian, I talk very much all the time. But he nailed it out of the park once again, not only for the elements that define my technology, my process, and everything else, which, of course, he's gone through for decades himself, so he can connect 110% with everything.
Okay,
but
one question. What is the difference between the tiny one, the medium one, and the tower? Can you explain a little bit? Because
of course.
Yeah.
Now, before I start with one of them in my hand.
I have two. Yes. Yeah.
Danke. A few years ago, I took on board a couple of American partners, which I want to salute, Tom, because they are my brothers. And with them, we changed the course of the company, which was very important. It's James and Donnie. Love you guys. If you're listening to this, which you are, or you will be, they helped me address the products towards a larger market. We talk about ACDC, of course, and that's essential. They're my love. They're going to be my love until I have a breath of air in my lungs and I can talk and play, which hopefully is going to be a few more years. But we expanded with them. They expanded in actuality. The product, directing it at a much larger audience. So today we have so many artists that are not related to AC/DC. And so many other bands, Guns N' Roses, Aerosmith, Metallica. There's a lot of musicians in the worship community here in the US that are using this. There's a country rock as well that many artists are using this. So it was just a moment for me of pride and affection once again to mention my partners with this endeavor of mine, because we're really pushing it. So Tom has asked, Phil, what's the difference between all those products? Because we see that you have a bunch of them. Now, we talked briefly about the wireless system. It was made out of the transmitter and a receiver. So what I've done is that I've integrated the two on the same board, of course, getting rid of all the circuitry that was related to transmission. Once we proved that that wasn't influent in the tone, but there were other components, audio circuitry on the transmitter and the receiver. So you have essentially the transmitter is now integrated in this part of this particular pedal, whose name is the Storm. And so you have, this is the exact same knob that I tried showing earlier on the transmitter, and it does exactly what that knob does. And the circuitry attached to it, that's what it does as well. We brought out one of the components inside the transmitter, and we made it controllable by user because it was not earlier. And that's the limiter. It's an optical limiter, which it's a good part of great sounds. In my humble opinion, limiters are amazing. I love limiters. So you can actually completely disengage that limiter by setting this to 0, or you can enable it a little bit like this. And then you have here on the, I think on the screen, it's on the left, but it's on the right side of the unit. You have the boost, which represents exactly all the circuitry connected with a receiver, audio circuit, and that particular front knob that we've seen, that was the volume of the headphones amplifier, doing all the magic that it does. And it's a series of filtering op amps that are connected with this that enhance naturally the sound of the harmonics, expanding the harmonics, expanding the sustain capability of the sound once you connect. And you don't have to overdo it. Many people just use it at nominal level with essentially like a very basic position with minimal, and you're still going to hear a difference, and it's still going to kick your sustain up with some harmonic expansion and stuff like that. So this is one of our main products. It comes in pedal form. And I would say it's fairly affordable at around $219. Now, I wanted all the kids of the world to be able to have even a cheaper version, which is what you sport there, but it's got all the magic in one knob. It does what this thing does, minus the ability to be able to set it up in a more sophisticated way, which you can do here. You can do it there. You just have one main knob. So you get more or less of a certain setting of the tree of tone that it's included in the Schaefer tree of tone, or SoloDallas tree of tone, if I can say it now. After a few years, I think I can afford and allow myself to go that way. Now, the tower was my main achievement, even before the what we call the tower, SoloDallas tower. And this item I gave to Angus Young 12 years ago, and that started our collaboration that has not ended. Say again, our collaboration with ACDC has not ended, not even for a second, in 12 fantastic years. So Angus is still using 2 of these in the studio and live every day that he picks up a guitar and goes playing, which for me, for this Italian-American guy, Tommy, this is a miracle. It's been the miracle of my life. Mwah. Thanks to everything. So I gave this to Angus, and what I wanted to, this is quite expensive, although the circuitry is the same, but it's got a number of features in the rear. I'm not going to explain it to our friends. I don't want your viewers and mine to fall asleep today. Thank you, guys. If you're still here, despite the connection issues and whatever, you can see that essentially it's got the 2 main knobs that we've seen on the previous pedal. And this is the transmitter circuit. And this, again, is the receiver circuit. And then you have a bunch of stuff on the back here that even bring further the functionality and the options that you can shape your tone with once you're running through this thing. And what do you think? Were we clear and simple enough for our friends to understand the technology?
I can sum it up in a very simple way. This is the micro pedal that has all the magic with one knob. Then you have the middle-sized pedal, which I also have. It's now at the office. And this gives you a little bit more options. And then the big tower, for me, it's practical to have pedals because usually they end up on a pedal board. And, it's another flavor, which makes a lot of sense. And for me, it's an extra spice in your meal, which is so good, simply so good. Talking about the ingredients, SG T-top pickups. How would you describe what is the character of the pickup that you need for the Angus Young style tone?
Thanks for asking that. That's another. I believe in moderate stacking of certain components to build your tone. I don't believe in overwhelming elements in the stack that overwhelm what comes previous or after. I like to have a very balanced and moderate stacking addition of
elements. I'm totally with you, and I believe it's okay. Back to Italian cooking, it is not like you have a blitz and then it's done. No, certain things it's a process, and audio is also being processed in several stages, and each stage contributes a little bit to the sound, to the taste, to enriches what you give from the input. So in the signal path, of course, it's your hands and your pick, important, very important, but then it is the pickup, it's the strings and the pickup through one of these pedals or the wireless, and then hitting the front end of your Marshall. But the Marshall is not cold. The Marshall is hot driven, which means every stage in the Marshall is cooking, like Italian cooking, which means if you would have only one clipping stage and that would be it would be boring. And the multi-stage process makes the tone so rich and so exciting, so alive, so dynamic. So let's talk a little bit about the pickups, because I know that you also were digging deep on pickups.
Absolutely. So we make two.
What did you learn?
Yes, we make two products, two pickup, actually three. And one is the one that came out first, and I had it here minutes ago just to show it to our friends. It's okay. I'm going to pretend that I'm showing it, but I have. Oh, he's here. Yeah. And my first one, our first, was a necessity of copying Gibson. I love you, but I'm saying it out loud. A T-top. We needed to reproduce the T-tops that Gibson seemed to not be able to reproduce for a long time. Still, probably to this day, I have to be honest. And I didn't like what I heard, and I didn't, the many replicas, the many things. I wasn't never convinced. And I have a number of old SGs and older guitars, and those would be my reference. And so I would go back to those and listen. And so we decided, let's go for our own recipe on the T-top, because we've been talking about this and using this word today, Bruder, so much about recipes, which it's a great metaphor. I am the cook in this house here with my Italian family. I cook every day. I do the groceries. So I really pick the elements, as you have mentioned yourself in our metaphor that we use commonly together. It's essential. So we went and we sampled a number of original T-tops that we have between our engineer, Dries, that lives in Belgium. Dries, we love you. We salute you today. I know that you are a fan of Thomas as well. And in fact,
he also, I believe, plays Amp 1 somehow.
Very well. Dries is a guitar player. So this company, Tommy, like yours, we love guitar players, man. We are guitar players. We understand guitar players, and everything we do, we do it for the guitar player, or for the musician, I should say, because we have the musicality in mind. That's what we have in mind, because many things that the market has thrown at us over the decades did not really work, bro. It was a lot of marketing, and then it didn't really do what it was promising to do. Humbly, that's what we try to do, and that's why we've introduced what we introduced. So we sampled quite a few original T-tops from the era 1966 to 71, where I think it ends for Gibson, of a certain classic style. I mean, then they went on and did other great things. I don't want to detract at all from them. I love them, but that's where it ends for me when it comes to a certain sound. I don't go past Gibson's past 1971 because they changed the shape and the pickups and everything. So those are the years that we sampled. We came out with this one, and it's been, it's been working pretty well. This 1966 has two of them because we offer several finishes. This is nickel, but then we have chrome, of course, if it matches the year and the manufacturer of other hardware that you might have. I pretty much like it the classic way, just like Bruder Tommy. Okay, classic stuff that looks like that. Look at that gold top that you got back there, or that Fender Stratocaster you got there. Yeah. And I remember your yellow Stratocaster that I have admired so much that I bought me one too, just like my brother. I'm sorry, I apologize, guys. I can see my video is still interrupts. I hope it's not too bad for the guys listening. Yeah. So after a while, I was liking so much you showing off with your Stratocaster, yellow Stratocaster. I bought me one too. Okay. I didn't even tell you. I'm not telling you today. Okay. So now you know. Okay, cool.
Now I know.
Yeah.
Good. Alles gut.
Yeah. And then we went on with, because of the success of the T-top, it worked well. So we went on with another pickup that matters to us, and that is a Filtertron that we make for Gretches, for our friends, always enamored with ACDC, but not only.
Yeah.
That captures the weakness and the clarity, and I said weakness, yes I did, the weakness and the clarity of the low output of those early 1960s Filtertrons. And when it comes to pickups, as you and I were mentioning in the recipe, in the tone stack, having moderate and balanced components that speak to each other nicely instead of overwhelming each other. So the T-tops, for example, are at 7.8 kilohertz DC resistance, which is considered somewhat weak, not even making it up to 8 kilo ohms. Kilo
ohms.
Yeah. So let's say it again, friends. 7.8 kilo ohm DC resistance. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so the Filtertron worked very well for all our friends. And again, it's not only for the ACDC style. Guys, I've only taken ACDC as a master ideal indication example for my own inner sound that Tom was speaking about earlier, because we all have an ideal sound. Maybe that changes over time too. Yeah. And that's great. And it evolves into something else, but we have it inside of us. And so I took ACDC as an example for me of that, and we developed these products. But these products are meant at not only ACDC players and lovers, but just a wide range of classic musicians that care about musicality and whatever genre that might be playing. And after the Filtertron, we added a PAF replica, because I am in love, like you are, with Gibson Les Pauls. Yeah, I can see it. I know you have 59s, Bruder. I know you have 59s.
Well, this is my converted 68 into 57 with pickups. I have a friend, Andreas Kloppmann, and I'm torturing him. Honestly, wait a minute. I can show you something here. This is wait a minute. I have to show you something because that's serious. Kloppmann. So.
Oh my God! Look at the headstock of that thing. Tom, look at the headstock of your guitar, man.
So, okay, if you want to see this, see, this is frequency measurements. I don't know if you can see it. Wait a minute.
Yeah, it barely focuses.
And I have hundreds of those here, comparing different pickups. I'm measuring original 59s, 57s, and then I go into all the details. I'm lucky that I have
Kim,
a little bit of understanding.
yeah,
But I'm not a guy that can wind pickups. Everybody is a specialist, but I know the tone, and it's like when I know what I want, and I can torture people in the way like, hey, as long as we are not there, we are not talking anymore.
I do the same. I did it with Dries.
Yeah.
I still do it with Dries. We all do it.
Yeah.
And you can't be an expert about everything, Tommy, because otherwise, if we try to be experts at everything, we'd suck on the rest that we're really specialized over. And so you have your amazing expertise of what you built.
Yeah, and I think that's what we have. We have to accept that we are not gods.
Yes.
And we have to accept that we can focus at the stuff that we are good at, and that we have to find people that are good at the things where we are weak. And I know that. And, I can totally admit that I know things that I don't know as well as other people. And there's a German saying, something like, for those that know that they don't know more than people know that they think they know everything. You know what I mean? It's like...
I do. Because it sounded like Socrates' philosophy of the Greek,
Yeah.
Know that you don't know,
Yeah, exactly. But with that respect to other people, you can really appreciate their passion and their quality, and then you together make the best, and together you are stronger than a team. You are way stronger than just one egomaniac genius. And this is why I always have been a team,
I know. Because I know you, because I know your story, because I followed it. So I know that you work that way, and so do we.
Yeah.
And so do we.
Yeah.
And it brings us back, if you want for a second, it brings us back to ACDC being a team, being a team of guys working together, listening to each other carefully and really working it together, you know. And Tommy, I hope that you and I, because we are a little older than some of the people that are listening to us. And plus there's old, there's young people at 75 or 71 like Angus Young, still a kid. I know for sure. I met him. I know he likes to fuck around, guys. So it's still, it's a little language like this, Australian. He still likes to mess around, and Ella does the same when I was with them. There's just great people. But so, I hope that the kids get our message, Tom, because I surely ain't done delivering it. I surely am not done delivering the message for the younger generations, and I know that you do the same.
Yeah.
Of the importance of.
And I think it's important that we do. Why? Because we've been there. This shouldn't be a sign of arrogance. It's just because some other people don't have the chance to be in the studio with a 2-inch tape machine playing with no options, because we have too many options today. And we can tell how it was back then. It's maybe the story from another world, but by sharing the passion and the emotion that we ignite, when we talk about it, they probably get it and think, wait a minute, there must be something in.
There's something there.
There is something there. And sometimes less is more, or what was it? And it makes maybe people curious to go on their own journey to discover themselves. I mean, for me, it doesn't matter what you play. If you are an Yngwie player and play 1 million notes and you are happy, or if you're an Angus player and play 3 chords and rock the world, it is these people have found themselves through the music and whatever they do. And that's I think what we can show that we have found what we would like to do or what we are doing. We are still there. We are still passionate, and our fire is still burning. And that's the thing. As long as that fire is burning, and it will never die. I know people like you. We will never change. And I don't know Angus, but I don't know. But
it's the same with him. I can vouch for him because I know him now.
Yeah.
I've met him. Spoke with him. I'm still in touch with them. I speak with Trace Foster, who's Angus' guitar tech.
Yeah.
Love you, Trace. I know you're working hard. Keep at it. And he's the same. Tommy, as long as I can play at tempo, I really get my drive from the timing. When I find myself, Tom and everyone else, I find myself strumming along with proper timing and tempo.
Yeah, it's the groove, it's the energy.
You gave me the goosebumps. I don't think it doesn't get through because the camera and the connection, whatever, And by the way, guys, if you're still here despite the connection and the audio going up and down, thank you so much. We love you. So, but you just gave me the goosebumps because I know that you also function that way. You really get hooked. You get tied in that, and it starts taking off. You said it would cook. It starts cooking with the analog components, even digital components, okay? If they can be made to cook properly with the environment they're sitting in. And it starts cooking, guys, and the timing is there, and it's better than everything else in the world, including sometimes making love to a woman, or to whatever, to whoever you want to make love to, it's fine. Yeah. But even higher than that sometimes. It's really a cathartic situation that I know that Tom has experienced, I've experienced, and I know that's what drove AC/DC for the entirety of their careers. I know it because I worked, spoke to them, and completely made their philosophy mine because, as Thomas was saying before, I knew that something was there. I could see the magic happening. I could see them driven, excited. Tom also mentioned this word several times today, the excitement of the music, of certain music brings you excitement. Then you start investigating, why is this music bringing and giving me excitement and this other is not? Put that one on the side. Let's focus on what gives me excitement, because something is there. He's done it. Yeah. I've done it. We're old enough. Yeah. We can help others in order to get inspired.
Yeah, and there's one little thing I would like to mention, like from amp settings. Okay, many people think AC/DC is rock, so they dial in a rock tone, and most of the time they are using too much gain. Because
Thank you.
AC/DC came from loud amps that are designed to be clean amps, but driven into overdrive. So you have to go towards overdrive, not coming from overdriven and trying to be weaker. No, you have to punch against the wall of, the breakup. And this is what makes you play the way. And this is the energy that you can feel when you have an amp that needs a little attack to come alive. And I didn't have the chance to play Angus Young's original gear, but from what I learned in my experience, which is a couple of years with different guitars and amps and blah, 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 there's some
just a couple. Yeah, just a couple of years for you. Yeah, advice.
So here, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's another one. And next room I have more. And but the thing is, if you start the old school way, which was cranking a Marshall and then looking for some little tweaks from the front end, just a little bit, just a little spice. And that's the magic. And don't go to your high gain channel and because you're losing. It's like, you lose the quality of the strings. I think when Angus plays soft, the amp is still sounding clean. and then by playing harder, you get through the full dynamic curve, and when you press it at the maximum, it starts to scream and everything is there.
Tommy, can I interrupt you for a second? You are definitely on the flow. You got the flow again. It seems like probably we're acting or something, but it's not. Everything is it's improvised here. It's an actual relationship between two older and semi-adult human beings here. You know, but I'm taking off on what he says, and I think he's got some excitement out of me too, because we do that to each other. Now, one of the things that ACDC taught me, which is exactly what you described so far, is what they talked to me about in terms of, Tom, listen carefully, clean, dirty. That's what they use to define the sound. You said this. I had to interrupt you because I had to throw it in there, because the clean, dirty, that's my entire philosophy, by the way. I go by clean, dirty. If I can't roll off the volume, Tom, of my guitar and I don't hear a clean sound, no matter how distorted, saturated I am, I'm going to change something, bro. Okay, I can't take it. I need to be able to go clean and do an arpeggio, as I know that you can, because I've seen you for years, and that's you as well. And now this clean, dirty, you see, I'm trying to do the British accent.
Dirty.
The clean, dirty, Phil. It's what Angus told me, and Tony Platt. Tony Platt, you remember Tony, the great sound engineer that worked with Mutt Lang, who now lives not too far from you in Switzerland. We salute them both. So Tony, I went to visit him years ago, and we're still in touch every now and then. We talk. He was the one that sort of stimulated my ear when he said, Phil, I don't use limiters or compressors during recording, mate. I do use line amps and tape. Tape would be tape, okay? So he said that, and I started thinking.
I drink I drink my Tetley's tea bags, the all-rounders, please, with some milk. Yes.
Just for the little
British to death.
For the little additional spark of energy contributed, that little additional spark of magic that you are adding to your essence right now. Salute.
See the finger? This is the British finger. Hello. Drinking some
hello. Tea for two. I should have mine. I want that cup. I'm going to buy that cup on the site now. That cup of yours, is it on the site? I want it.
No, I don't have it as a. This is next time I bring you one.
It's got to be mine. I want it. So no, I had to interrupt you for the clean, dirty, because when they told me that, it was just another flash of light just breaking through me, and I realized that it's essential. Tommy.
One little question I have: when you got an Amp 1, how did you connect to Amp 1? Being an expert in ACDC, what is it doing for you? I mean, where did you hear about it?
I heard about it through my good friend Robin in Canada. So Robin, say that I don't love you. See, if I don't love you, I'm talking to your hero right now, mentioning you. And so by the way, he lived in Canada for many years. He's an older guy like us, and I'm very good friends with him. And over the years, he was just enamored. He's got several of your Amp 1s, bro. In several versions. He even had a silver one that was discontinued at some point, and he kept on mentioning the sag of that one. Imagine that. So I have heard and know of that as well. Tommy.
Wow.
So he kept on mentioning, and I it was, I think 3-4 years ago, we were talking about it. And I said, you know what? Freak it. I'm going to buy it. I want it. I want something easy. I was playing guitar in another room because my wife wanted me to throw me in another room. That's the way it goes for me. You know, happy wife, happy life. So I went and I needed some other amp. And that was my amp, and it's been my amp. And I've been playing it for a long time. So I connected immediately with this thing, okay? With all the modes, by the way. Not just with the cleaner one or the saturated one. And I had seen Tom's trying and testing the JCM actual JCM against this one modeled here, or 2203 actually, JDM 2203. And it just worked perfectly for me. But even the more modern version, actually, I fell in love with that. Whether if that is a JCM 900 or even higher gain, I freaking loved that one and connected to that one as well. In addition to that, I've used with it our own SoloDallas impulse responses. At first, actually, it was coming out of the speaker emulation mode that Thomas
recording
had
out.
The rec out is right here. Because he had the brilliance of figuring out, and that was 10 years ago, guys. 10 years ago or more. So we're talking about someone that had already had the vision. Okay, so don't stop me. Don't tell me that I'm being excessive or too much of a fan, because try that yourself 10 years ago, having the vision. This thing still works and sounds great today. Okay, and I'm going to get that amp back of yours whenever that comes out. And I told you several times, so you know that. But with the amp one, sorry.
Yeah. No, all good. The recording out is 10 years old, and I have to admit that IRs, we can go more precise into different speakers. That brings me to another topic. What is your personal favorite speaker? What is Angus Young's perfect speaker? And G1265s or Greenbacks, or what? Can you tell us a little bit about the speaker side of things? Because speakers are as important as the amp, as the guitar, as the player. It's all part of the whole thing. And the speaker is, to me, like the last piece in the chain. And if something is wrong there, you cannot fix it with anything before that. So I know the metal guys, for me, they rely on speakers more than anything else. Sometimes I get a bit frustrated because I pay so much attention to detail on my Iridium for the metal guys.
I know.
They go, and I ask them, hey, what would you like to be different? And they say, no, it's great. And the only thing they do care is their perfect IR or their perfect speaker, and the rest is good for them. In the classic rock world, I think the guitar, the strings, the wood shines through a bit more. And,
it does.
And so for me, everything is equally as important. And I know that we can spend, again, hours, days, weeks, years.
I'd like to do that with you, though. So let's please reformulate something else. We're going to come back to this. Promise me, though, because I don't have a video podcast yet. But I don't have it. I want to be with you again. Promise me?
Yes. You are officially invited for another Academy of Tone.
Thank you so much. And we'll take care of the connection. Hopefully, it's not going to fluctuate that much, and our guys are not going to get frustrated.
It's pretty good now.
Florida. Thank you, Florida, for coming to my rescue. But Tom, I can talk for hours, so let's try and summarize that. Okay.
Yeah.
Phil, what are Angus' favorite speakers? Let's go in that order. And I haven't finished talking about the Amp 1. And because I even use our SoloDallas stuff on the Amp 1. It sounds amazing. Okay. I can push actual hardware pedals onto the Amp 1 and get the same results that I'm getting out of real amps. And I have a bunch just like Tom, you guys can't see it here, but I have stacks of amps here. And I get the same dynamics out of that Amp 1 that is analog technology, reformulated, but a long time ago. So he's done that. Holy Scheiße, okay? So that's how much I like it. And I used with it in combination with our own impulse responses. What are Angus' favorite speakers, Phil? Greenbacks.
Okay. He's
and it
my
ends there.
Friend.
He loves Greenbacks. If you're asked, he's not your friend, you said?
No, he's my friend because I have Greenbacks from 1966. I have Greenback from 1970. 66. I have Greenbacks from the.
Stop right there.
I have one. I got it.
You're going to send me your address because I'll be in Rome in June. I want to come and visit you wherever you are in that studio of yours, or at least see you live. I know you're still touring, which is why you mentioned
You are officially invited. Yeah.
Because that's why you
Okay.
mentioned the pedals. Pedals are important for me, Phil,
Yeah.
because pedal boards mean to me, Phil. You know, despite the fact that the Amp X is going to have everything inside of it, but that's going to come until that day. Still other configurations. Pedals are still relevant, so I use them, and they're important to me, Phil. And that's the reason, because you are still touring, bro. I know that. So my favorite speakers, that's slightly different. Mine are a mixture, and I can't be without, Tommy. So slap me from Germany, whatever you want to do. But Greenbacks and 65s. Okay, I go back and forth between the two of them. Warum, that in German means why, Phil. The reason is that I fell in love with, guys, Back in Black, 1980. It's for me, ACDC album that really did it for me. I lost it there. I had lost it earlier, but I kept on buying their stuff. And when 1980 Back in Black came out, I still remember it. Tommy, I was in Tuscany. I was 12 years old. My mom brought me the tape. Remember those orange tapes from Atlantic? Black tape with the orange label?
Yeah,
that's a Schaefer that I got from my mom. Because she came from Rome. I was in Tuscany with my friends. She dropped it off, said, Filippo, this is what you wanted, amore mio. Your ACDC just came out. It was July 1980. So when I found out that most of that recording was performed on G1265s, then of course I found I had to get several, Tommy, and we even sampled those with our impulse responses, so we have them there as well. And guys usually don't know that G1265s, if we're interested in talking still about ACDC, not only were used in Back in Black, but they were also used previously on Highway to Hell and even Power Age. ACDC had signed in 1977 a sponsorship by Marshall, and they received early on some of the equipment, including G1265s, that they were pushed by Marshall to pushing onto their albums and recordings and live shows, so that they would promote, just like pretty much like influencers today. They were doing it back then. So maybe we didn't invent that much. So they used it on Powerage. They used it, not every song. Let's not think in those simplistic ways. Some songs, some parts have some speakers, some microphones, and some, Tommy, microphone placement is another huge thing that you wanted to mention to me about today. You wanted to tell me, Phil, but how about microphone placement and the types of microphones? Because, Phil, we don't talk about that shit or Scheiße enough, and that's still so relevant in the world of clean, dirty, and certain speakers and certain stacked elements of our tone stack. The microphone type and the placement of that microphone in the speaker, within the room, with a speaker type, with a speaker cabinet. Guys, that stuff is so important. We talk about guitar tone all the time, and maybe Tom does, but so many others still are not talking about the speakers, as Tom mentioned, and the way to capture those speakers via microphone. When every time we hear guitar, we're hearing it through a recorded medium every time now, or on an album, on the internet, we hear it recorded. So guys, it's very, very important, microphone type and angle. Now with this particular aspect, Tommy, I'd like to tell our friends today that I have learned that ACDC really had a knack, a flavor already with George Young and Harry Vanda at Albert Studios, of putting many microphones off axis and just really going for those angles with the baffles in order to already pre-equalize those guitar tones already between guitar, strings, clean, dirty, moderate settings, the proper speaker, some baffling, the proper microphone, with a speaker cabinet in a certain position in the studio. Very often in the early years in the studio at Albert's, those cabinets, Tommy, were flipped against the wall because it was a very small room, recording room at Albert Studios. I know my connection is going down. I apologize. I hope this still comes out with clarity.
Yes.
So the speaker cabinet was against the wall. You can see some pictures still with Angus and Malcolm in the studio, and you can see the cabinet against the wall. So you don't see the speakers; they're against the wall, and the microphone was shoved in there with maybe some additional baffling. Over the years, they have continued with this or these particular techniques. So much of what you hear on AC/DC albums, guys, is still, in terms of equalization, when you hear a certain frequency or a certain lack of thereof. For example, very often, Tommy, we have the perception of hearing a mid-scooped sound. That was very popular by the end of the 70s, and it conquered the 1980s. As you very well know, they even started designing speakers so that were mid-scooped, in fact, because they were appropriate for a certain type of music that was being and becoming more popular in the 1980s. Well, AC/DC, of course, started this early on and achieved it via microphone placement more than EQing. Because as Tony Platt said, and you mentioned it as well, you cannot fix something that wasn't very good from the source.
At the beginning.
Good luck trying to fix it with the EQ or some other. It's not going to work.
Yeah. It's back to the Italian. Italian women don't need much makeup when they're beautiful. You know what I mean? You know, a little bit.
Listen to you.
You know what I mean?
You know what I mean? I married one, she doesn't use makeup at all. So that's it.
See? Yeah. And this is, I mean, you know, be careful with any kind of treatment. Try to capture the right thing from the start. Make sure that every step in the process is not losing. It's just keeping and maybe adding a little bit, but never losing anything. The moment when you have the feeling, I put something in and it's something is missing, you know something is wrong. Go back to the pure connection, you know, and start over. And that's the thing. And hey, this is, I can't wait to have you here as in physics in my studio as a guest, and we go through my speaker collection, and I have things like I can swap speakers with a fast exchange thing, and we have to make a follow-up, a huge one. So just let me know.
Tommy,
gerne.
Tommy, with Italian accent, I tell you, bitte, Tommy. Will we?
My little Italian is tutto va bene.
Bravo, yeah, that's fine. Everything's right. That's what he said, which I agree with. Everything's all right.
Yeah. So, hey, Phil, it was super interesting and a very big pleasure to have you here for this live stream. And here is my official invitation for the next one. And if we can make it even in person, let's do it.
I need to see you again before NAMM next year or NAMM next year. Yes, of course. I'm going to come visit you at your booth, as I always do. And you know that. And that we have that, at least, that appointment set up already for us ahead of time. I'm going to do it.
Maybe we can do it even in Europe, if possible. We will find out.
I hope so. I hope so for our love for Europe.
Yeah.
So. Mamma mia, so nice.
Yeah.
So nice. It feels like being with a friend, by the way, guys. Yeah. I'll add that. Mamma mia, America, Italian. Senti, grazie, Bruder. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you so much.
Grazie
what a
mille.
joy.
Okay. Va bene. Ciao.
Ciao.